What's up, grinders? Welcome back to the channel. So on the 20th of Feb, I did a react to a video from another YouTuber called One Word at a Time. It was about his 1 year Arabic challenge. And I asked you guys down in the comments section, do you want me to keep following him in his challenge? Because I've followed people in challenges before, got copyright striked. But I also thought that this looked like a legitimate challenge, someone who was actually trying to do it and then recording their experiences. And the comment section was just filled with people saying, yes, please follow. So it appears that he did drop a second video, which is titled The Agony and Triumph of Being a Complete Novice, Arabic Challenge Month 1. So I'm actually thrilled to see what he's managed to achieve in 1 month. So let's begin.
من شهر ما كنت أعرفه على كلمات بالعربية وهلا بعدد ساعات ما بتند من الدراسة ومراجعة الكروت والاندماج بالمختبر العربي صرت أعرف عربي أكثر.
But come on.
Clearly C2. Boom. Yep, he's fluent. He's now a hyperpolyglot.
Did you think I was going to say I'm fluent? Of course I'm not. But here's how my first month went with Arabic as a language learner who tracked every single minute that I spent, every word that I came across, and every new word that I added to my vocabulary. So I am 1 month into my 1 year Arabic challenge. I spent 16 hours with the language and grew my vocabulary to just over 240 words after learning an average of 8 new words per day. My time was split with 33% of it watching 30 videos on the Easy Arabic channel, 15% on textbook study, and then 52% on vocabulary learning through Anki. 16 hours doesn't feel like a whole lot, and I need to spend more time with Immersion than on Anki, but somehow across the whole month I heard 28,000 words in Arabic during my immersion, and that's a substantial amount. But now onto how the month and the challenge actually went, I forgot how much I enjoy being a complete novice. Now, beyond just the novelty of the language, every sentence and every word feels valuable. It's like I'm playing linguistic Pokemon where I want...
This is so true. You know, when you first start out with a language, at the beginning, everything's fun. You've got lots of things, but also at the same time, depending if you've done this before, it can also be a little bit stressful because you're like, oh man, I'm starting again. Really? Why? But then again, it's kind of like racing emotions. It's like a new relationship. Things are up in the air. How's it gonna go? Are we gonna stick together? Is this love for life? You know, I do get the whole sentiment.
I want to catch everything that goes by, and there are some very charming things about the Arabic language. After less than a week of watching daily videos from the Easy Arabic team based in Egypt, the language sounds less aggressive. As I've learned more and I'm exposed to more, there's a friendliness and a softness that's come out in the language that reminds me of a similar attitude shift that I had with German once I started hearing the sound like the word völlig in.
I wonder if someone who's learning Klingon is like, you know, after I've spent about a month, it sounds less aggressive. I know there's a couple of Klingon fans down in the comments section. I'm kind of curious. Does it sound aggressive to you guys now that you actually speak the language? Let us know. Whoever gives me the best Klingon comment, I'll pin theirs.
German. There's an undeniable sweetness about hearing people talk about dating and marriage, even if there are some jarring elements to that. But at least in terms of that cultural understanding piece, that's starting to come. I even became an Easy Arabic member for the month of January. This is not an ad, and I encourage you to use these channels in whatever language you're learning.
I've never used them. Oh, well, that makes sense. It doesn't look like they're available in any language that I guess Spanish, but like, yeah, I've heard them spoken about so much. I've never really watched their content.
Because their content is so valuable. I'm mostly watching videos, understanding 5% from the Arabic and 95% from the English subtitles. Words that I learned in Anki are being reinforced in the videos, which is fantastic, but I'm also picking up on words that are said a lot, like myself, nafsi. Watching the beginner, slow Arabic conversations could increase my comprehension, but the videos are just dull and they lack any of the vibrance of what keeps me going and has me watching more. Let's put it this way, I'm still in the phase where listening to ads in Arabic is enriching. I enjoyed learning the Arabic alphabet, but I didn't think ahead to what letters and sounds aren't in the alphabet.
I did a tiny bit of the Arabic alphabet on Duolingo, and the only thing I really remember about it is how goddamn similar all the letters look. And also the fact that the keyboard operates, you know, in reverse to what I'm used to. Like when you're trying to select stuff, it's like, yeah, and you're like, how's this work?
So the fact that there's no letter P in the alphabet is highly amusing. Like here, have a slice of pizza.
That's an interesting point because I also, obviously I've been in the Conlang community for quite a while, and then also the what is it called? So the auxiliary language conlang community, where basically they try to create international languages. And one of the big critiques about Esperanto is obviously it's got sounds that aren't found in the vast majority of major languages, and P being one of them is not found in Arabic, and yet you'll find it in Esperanto.
Or, hey, I'm going to read you a chapter in Harry Potter. And then I had my first moment of actually benefiting from my vocabulary when I was on a bus and I heard an announcement that we were passing by a jamia, a university. There's a definite enjoyment and a growing confidence here, but this is also a tale of the Dunning-Kruger effect. For the uninitiated, that's where people with limited knowledge or competence greatly overestimate their own knowledge or competence. I don't think I'm advancing particularly quickly with Arabic, but there is a growing confidence and optimism based on how many words I'm recognizing from Hebrew. When I look at the 240-ish words that are in my vocabulary, just under 40% of them are related in some way to a word in Hebrew.
Wow, so I was asking about this in my last video, you know, how closely are they related, because obviously his time frame of a year, and like the comments were quite diverse. Some people were saying, yeah, it's pretty similar, and others are saying, no, it's really far apart. So it looks like it's actually, you know, over 50% at least here for the most common ones.
Though most of them are from outdated terms, or it's sort of hard to see the connection given how long ago the languages diverged. Okay. For most of the words, it's hard enough for me to understand the pronunciation of the words and to imagine the spelling, but the connections do help, where it feels like I'm walking around in a dark room with a candle rather than in pitch black. In terms of helpfulness, this is similar to how 30% of the English language comes from French, but I don't understand jack in French, though where I'm hoping this will help in the future with Arabic is when it comes to reading. For now, what that means is I'm trying to figure out how much of this language could I understand if I saw it written down, or if I knew more about the connections between Arabic and Hebrew, and then I'm going to let that guide what I do next. So thanks to those of you who commented on the last video on this topic. I'll keep tabs on how this idea of language cross-pollination helps you, I guess helps me.
He's the first person I've ever heard use that term apart from myself. I'm not saying I invented it, but I thought that was just something I randomly said once, because I've said this many, many times, not as of recently, but in previous videos where I'll be like, you know, you've basically, but I talk about it in the sense of if you learn one aspect of the language, or you get good at one aspect, let's say, you know, talking about gaming terminology, and for horror games, for example, in gaming, then you can move into action horror games, and you're going to have a lot of cross-pollination there, like a lot of words that are shared between the two genres, and that helps you. So it's interesting to see someone else use that term.
It helps us learn better.
Is that actually like a term within linguistics? Maybe it is. Maybe I've done nothing special there. I've just reinvented the wheel.
I also forgot how much I hate being a novice. Most of this stems from the involuntary humility of how much I know versus how much I need to learn and to practice.
For me, the problem is, like, when I start a new language, is I know how much I'm going to need to learn. I know it's going to be thousands of hours of work, most likely, because I always pick the stupidest languages to learn. Like, I never sit here and go, let's do another easy language. Yeah, that's a good idea. Let's go with Korean. You know, like, I always want to go for the hard ones. I don't know why.
Falt wanak wakaub.
A few days ago, I tried reading something very basic, and I came across a word that I didn't know. And I thought to myself, I should get myself a dictionary. No, I shouldn't. I don't even know what the order of the letters is in Arabic to be able to look up a single word. In the end, I'm probably going to get a dictionary, but I'm glad to have been humbled along the way. And the other humbling part of this month is that there's a term called troublesome pairs, which I assume a lot of you are familiar with. Like, why does the word zujaja, bottle, have to be so similar to dajaja, for chicken or hen? Side note.
This is Chinese. Chinese is just filled with these troublesome pairs. I haven't heard this term before, but I understood exactly what he was talking about before. I might actually use it in the future, but like literally every word in Chinese is this.
I originally learned this term troublesome pairs from the world of birding, where you have two species that look exactly the same, but scientists decide that they're two distinct species. I'm not sure if it's more difficult to spot the difference between a willow warbler and a chiffchaff, or to remember the difference between a zujaja and a dajaja, but I think I need to pick less confusing hobbies. A few notes about my process. Each day, I log a transcript of all of the words that I came across during my immersion. So I know not just that I've come across 28,238 words, but also the specific trend for how I've seen the word mumkin, for maybe.
I hope he tells us how he's actually tracking all the words he's come across. Like, does he have some tool that does that? Maybe like LinkedIn or like, not LinkedIn, LinkQ or whatever it's called. Fucking, I don't know. People have been asking me to review it, but I don't know. I guess I'll need to one day. But like, how would you track everything that you've come across? What tools are you guys using to do that? Let me know down in the comment section.
207 times over the course of the month. So just like I've done in the past for watching Friends or SpongeBob and seeing how your language skills should grow, I have a running list of all of the words that I've come across. And I'm beginning to work them into my vocabulary, and I'll let you know how this goes. Especially in these early days where I have such a small foundation for everything in Arabic, I found a lot of value using generative AI, aka Nano Banana, as part of Gemini. It's the image generation thing to create better vocab cards in Anki. Here are a couple of...
Ooh, I've never thought about doing that before using AI. I always just went to Google Images and just searched up the actual word in Google Images and then just grabbed an image that looks like a generic representation of all of them. But maybe this would work.
Examples. The word daraja means...
But here he's also typing it in English. You got to be careful with doing this because obviously, you know, what is the most likely image to represent a word might not be the same between languages.
Bicycle, but it also sounds like the word garage. So here's a cartoon of a bike crashing into a garage.
Okay, so he's using mnemonics here. Okay, makes sense.
Good work, Google. I've also been very happy and impressed with an Anki add-on called Awesome TTS, where I add audio to all of my vocab cards to make sure that I'm practicing listening in addition to reading.
Yeah, people have recommended that I use that for Chinese, but I don't think it would work for me most of the time, mainly because I work offline a lot. And I think that needs to... Actually, I might be wrong. I need to check that. Okay, my concern is that if your phone is not connected, will it still work? Will the audio still work? Like, does it download the audio every single time? Or do you just generate the audio from that? I've got to find out.
I even spent a few hours switching over to the Levantine Arabic pronunciation that's offered by Microsoft Azure, rather than the standard MSA that comes right out of the box. And lastly, here's what the next month will look like. I don't think that I'm going to deviate much from the original plan for the year that I laid out in the last video. I'm going to continue ramping up to 10 new words per day in Arabic, just to make sure that I can hit that goal of 3,650 words total for the year. My biggest change for this month is that I'll be immersing more, and I'll be shifting over to watching Al Rawabi School for Girls on Netflix. It's a show that comes out of Jordan and focuses on the Levantine dialect. While I'm going to continue with somewhat of a focus on MSA for books and other writing, speaking the Levantine dialect is really one of my main priorities for the year, no matter how much I like the Egyptian dialect being shown in the Easy Arabic videos.
Now, I actually asked about this in a previous video for my comments section, you know, should you really be studying MSA and then later on swapping over, or should you just like try focus? And everyone was saying in the comment section, well, actually it was very, very confusing because half the Arabic speakers in the comment section were saying that most YouTubers just speak in their local dialect, so you might as well just start with the local dialect. Well, the other half are like, no, you should definitely start with MSA because that's what all the news and everything is in. And like there was no general consensus around this, so I think this is probably just one of those things where you just need to make a decision based on what you want to achieve. And also some people were saying that for local dialects, generally there's less materials available to actually learn them. So that could be one of the reasons people start. Anyway, this was an interesting video. I would have loved if he gave us like an example of him maybe trying to translate some stuff, kind of like what I do with the Dreaming Spanish videos. Anything like some more like actual looking at the language, him trying to do something with it, even if it's just him struggling reading and telling us what he thinks it means, because that would have been really cool. But I understand he's only done like a month worth as well in 16 hours. But I really look forward to seeing future videos in his series. I really do like watching people progress through languages. It gives me hope for the future. I prefer to watch videos and see people struggle than watch someone who's got flawless language abilities just talking about, you know, how amazing they are in the language. To me, the journey is way more interesting than, you know, someone who's already reached the end goal. Although, you know, sometimes I do like checking out those end goal ones, but the journey is always way more interesting. Anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed this react. I know I didn't contribute too much. Let me know down in the comment section. I'll see you all in the next video. And if you're not there, well then I will be writing your name in my Arabic Death Note. Which means I'm probably going to kill the wrong person because I'd spell it wrong.